The rise of organized gangs in South Africa predates the creation of the Union of South Africa itself. The conditions that prevailed after the discovery and exploitation of mineral resources by European settlers created an environment where rebellious bandits had to be imprisoned for fighting against a system of exploitation of natives, and thus the rise of criminal gangs began as early as late 1800s. The history of the gangs from the 1800s was passed on orally, and members have been sworn to secrecy and have a long history of violence, robbery, homosexuality and rebellion. The robberies were means to sustain the livelihood of the gangs, the violence was to create fear to their oppressors, and the homosexuality began in the mining compounds which only housed men, only, and therefore bred sex amongst men, even though not all men agree to this practice. Hence some gangs strictly prohibit homosexuality and even punish members who may be found to practice it. Gangs in South Africa are mainly made up by African and colored people of South Africa. They have secret languages which they use to communicate, and these languages are made up of a mix of languages of native South Africans, such as Zulu, Sotho, Xhosa and Afrikaans is also included, with some English too.
Ngaphandle sikhona izinto ezithi Jan van Riebeeck arrived at the Cape in 1652. Ufika kwakhe kubekho into ezitshintshayo. Abantu bakuthi bakukhuphile imihlaba inkomo ngezibhilidi ezibhili into ezinjalo. Ngela xesha, that is,
There are prison and street gangs in the Republic, and all have their distinct differences and sometimes clash with each other over territory, power and control of neighborhoods and prisons. The violence caused by these gangs became common and unstoppable by authorities, and this led to the creation of vigilante groups such as PAGID. PAGID is an acronym for People Against Gangsterism and Drugs, and it was formed in 1996 to counterattack the rise of gangs which were now ruling the townships. The group began as protesters who were holding demonstrations, but soon they took matters into their own hands by killing and burning known gang leaders and burning drug houses. Many of its leaders were from the political organization known as the Pan-Africanist Congress, and they also included Islamic groups such as Qibla, and after the incidences of 1996, the group forced the government to take the situation in a more serious light.
Number 5.
The Americans. The Western Cape Province is the main headquarters and the home of the Americans gang. The Americans are a criminal gang of around 5,000 to 10,000 people, was founded by Jackie Lant, who himself died in a hail of bullets, soon after announcing his retirement from criminal activities. From the early to mid-90s, the Americans specialize in weapons and drug trafficking, prostitution, extortion, fraud, money laundering and the poaching of abalone. Lant introduced crack cocaine to the townships of Cape Town, and was also a member of the Fancy Boys gang, before killing one of the gang leaders in that group and later establishing his own gang, the Americans. His gang grew bigger and established more legitimate businesses from their criminal proceeds. The rise of crystal meth, commonly known as tick in the Western Cape, is a popular drug that has generated revenue for the gang to operate, but has also created rivalries, turf wars and shooting amongst the rival gangs within the townships.
I can say tomorrow I can leave this stuff, you see, but the environment and the friends I'm with.
Rivalries also occurred amongst the gang as the younger members wanted to do away with the old members, and the internal rift also caused casualties. The Americans' main goal is the accumulation of wealth, and gang members often shift allegiance to suit their personal needs. In 2007, one instance which became known as the Woodstock Massacre, where 5 people were murdered in execution style, highlighted once more the old plague which still shook the nation of South Africa, and once again highlighted gang activities around the Western Cape. 7 men were arrested for this event, and much of the evidence came from cell phone evidence, testimonies from former gang members and forensic analysis. Cape Town has a history of gangs that dates back from the 19th century, and the apartheid laws such as the Groups Areas Act and the establishment of colored townships, deprivation of work opportunities and social support, all made the volatile circumstances to be worsened. The situation became so violent that the communities pleaded with the country president Cyril Ramaphosa to send in the military to help the police, who are heavily outnumbered and outgunned. The Americans are the biggest street gang in the Cape and arguably in the entire nation, and they also have other smaller gangs under their umbrella. Their violent ways have earned them the reputation as one of the most feared gangs in the nation. They are heavily inspired by the American gang culture and use the American flag as their logo, and their motto, "In God We Trust," is also derived from the United States. They also call their headquarters the White House and often count their money as US dollars.
Number 4.
The hard livings. You cannot be a hard living if you cannot see what life is. You must see what life is. These are the words by Rashid Staggy, the co-founder of the Hard Livings gang. The Hard Livings are a large street gang based in Manenberg, Cape Town. Like the Americans, the Hard Livings is a super gang that has other smaller gangs pledging allegiance to it. The gang was formed in 1971 by Rashid and Rashid Staggy. The twin brothers started a street gang focusing mainly on drug distribution, but as they grew bigger, rivalry developed between them and the Americans, and they soon developed into a fully fledged criminal gang.
The most notorious gangs in Cape Town are the Americans, the Mongrels, and the Hard Livings, or HLs.
You see what? The hard living is right round the peninsula. A hard living must think like a man. Because you cannot be hard living if you not can see what life is. You must can see what life is. Inside, wysheid, en begrip. Yes. To be hard living, you must have that 3 eigenskappe. You must. We believe not in the man who had the guts. We believe in the man who got a good brain. We believe in him. We had already people who shot in the day and he got some, now he's in jail 50 years, 40 years. He cried there because he haven't got a mind, he got a gut.
The Hard Living Gang has its headquarters in Manenberg, a few miles from Cape Town. The gang is run by identical twins, Rashid and Rashad.
Twins. It's in Afrikaans. We call it Linge. It's twins. I'm the oldest. 15 minutes. You know what, when we were younger, I was the naughty one. I used to steal at that time. He used to play with kids. Now he's the dangerous man.
The gang had ties to the Sicilian mafia and smuggled diamonds out of the country. They operated illegal ship-ins where prostitution was rife, and they also exported cannabis to Europe. In 1996, they were also targeted by the People Against Gangsterism and Drugs, and one of the twin brothers, Rashid, was shot and set alight by the vigilante group. The murder scene became one of the most vicious attacks on the war against gangsters, and the video and photos of the gruesome attack was broadcast on local and international news media, including BBC and CNN. The surviving brother was seen as the Robin Hood of his hometown, despite the evil acts he has committed in the past. He was also gunned down in 2019 in front of his home in the same street where his brother died. He was convicted to 15 years in prison in 2003 for ordering the rape of a 17-year-old girl. The woman was a police informant who testified that Rashid took her at gunpoint and later forced her to have sex with 3 men. The woman was killed in 2013, over a decade after Staggy incident, by members of the Hard Livings. She left behind 6 children, and her killing was a revenge for her past. Before his release from prison, Rashid converted to Christianity and apologized for his past, and wanted to live a life free from crime. He was released in 2013 after serving 10 years. During his initial sentencing, he was also found guilty for burglary at the 4 Police Armory.
It's against the law to sell drugs, and I did sell it, but I didn't sell the drugs for myself. If I shouldn't sell drugs for myself, I shouldn't be a millionaire now. Now that's the story I tell about the drugs that I'm selling. Who will give me a work then? I never worked. I'm still be out of school. I'm selling papers when I was small, 9 years old, 10 years old, selling papers, collecting bottles, bones, to sell it for food. So when we grow bigger, we come to steal. Go to jail. But you know how many times I went in jail? Twice and twice and twice. Come out of jail and I think about myself, hey, who's going to give me a work? No one is going to give me. Who's going to give me money? No one's gonna give me money. So I collect myself a few couple of bucks and I buy me some Mendrix. And so I start with a 90 rand. From that 90 rand I make big money. Big money. A few years back, every Sunday I come here and give the people money. The people is standing in Sundays. If I drive up here, everybody's come and stand here because they know we give them some money. That's why if I could go away, I'm sure the people are gonna miss me.
Rashid murder came a day after another hard-living gang leader was killed in Cape Town. Rashid gang turned Manenberg into a danger zone, and casualties who needed medical assistance had to be escorted by the police, as they would also be attacked. The turf wars and shootings had many innocent civilians, including children, catching stray bullets and dying or injured as a direct result of the gang wars. One of the Pagad leaders commented that the killing of Rashid was good riddance, as he brought terror and his death has saved many lives of the innocent people around Cape Town. The 28 prison gang leaders are the main suspects in the death which claimed the leader's life. The Manenberg Safety Forum attempted many times to broker a peace deal between the rival gang the Americans and the Hard Livings. In 2020, the South African National Army was deployed to the city of Cape Town to deal with the violence, but other residents commented that the gangs will not be eradicated overnight.
Die woord peace as ek klap in ons arme mense gesig. Peace. Die tyd wat Jan van Riebeeck hier kom, 1652, toe die Boesman vir hom in peace gewag en vir hom uitgedeel en vir hom gedeel. Maar hy het met 'n sadistiese neiging en afgunstigheid, hoe kan ek die woord stel, selfsugtigheid, het hy die land van die Boesman gevat, die grond, die vee en alles. Wat 'n peace. Wat 'n peace kan jy van praat in die arme weer wat ons is. Wat 'n peace. Is this my bad luck? Is this the wrong police that catch me? Is this the wrong police that catch me? When was it last week? 3 of them come there by my house in South River. So they tell me probably I must give him 20,000 rand for the one case. So I just tell him, well, how can I trust you? Because if he wanted 20,000 rand, he should have come alone to my place and talk with me. How can I trust him and just give him 20,000 rand? I can be in deep shit if I give him 20,000 rand and he make a case against me for bribery. Do you know what? In the gang fights, you know how many police that we have that shoot guns for us? Do you know how many police that we have? Do you know how many police that we have that bring us guns, bring us bullets, everything?
The police brings you weapons.
The police! They have nothing to give us guns. They steal it by the police station. They take his own gun and they give it for us for money, and they told they by the police station they were robbed with a gun, but we got a gun. They rob with us. They come by the smoker houses. They get the tablets. They come here by us. We give them money for this and all that things.
The police sell you drugs.
Yes.
Number 3. Number 2. Number 1.
Although they're usually very secretive about themselves, and therefore not well studied, the numbers, the 26s, 27s, and the 28s, are probably the best known of the prison gangs. Each has its own code of conduct and chain of command. The numbers were originally founded sometime in the late 19th century, probably between 1880 and 1890, reportedly when a nomadic man known as Poe met 2 youngsters, Nongoloza and Kilkijin, who wanted to find work on the gold mines on the Witwatersrand, knowing that the living and working conditions in the mines were appalling, and that many of the young men who went into the mines died in them. Poe convinced Nongoloza and Kilkijin rather to adopt a life of crime, teaching them, for example, to rob coaches and steal from the mine workers. Poe then recruited 15 more youngsters, assigning them to work with his 2 protégés. Poe decided to divide the new recruits, and gave 7 men to Nongoloza, and 8 to Kilkijin, and instructing them to work at different times. Nongoloza's group at night, Kilkijin's during the day. Nongoloza and Kilkijin parted ways when Nongoloza was found having sex with another man.
A person come in the cell. My duty is to ask him for what he is here and how long he. And I told him, you sleep there. And if he's not the number, I have sex with him. I'm not a gay.
What are you then? A man?
I'm daughter, a man.
Right, you're the man. But what about the man that gets fucked? What's he?
He's a woman.
He's a woman.
Yeah, a wife, a woman. I'm telling him, you must wash my clothes. He do it. I give him bread, food. I give him a bed. And I wash them, he's all right.
So do you have a lady in here now, a lady boy in here now?
I have one.
How long have you been with that one?
3 weeks.
3 weeks. Do you change regularly, yeah?
Yeah, I changed, yes.
You just walk up to them and you go, you will be my wife?
Yes, she comes sleep by me, by my bed.
If they don't do that, what happened?
Kill them.
When they were both incarcerated in Durban prison in about 1907 or 1908. Here Nongoloza tried to take 6 men as sex slaves for himself, but after Kulkajan explained to them what his rival wanted to do, they formed a gang of their own, the 26s. The numerals in the gang's names are therefore said to represent the 2 leaders and their followers. 2 plus 6, 2 plus 7 and 2 plus 8. Assignment to the numbers. The gangs assign new prisoners to the numbers according to their crimes. 26s, economic offenses. 27s, violent offenses. 28s, sexual offenses, rules of the numbers. The 26s are said to specialize in robbery and smuggling, money, drugs, cigarettes, etc., and usually work as cleaners in the prisons. They're known to avoid violence whenever they can, and members who develop a reputation for violence are expected to leave and join the 27s. Members can also leave to become 27s if they wish to communicate with the 28s. The 26s refuse sex with other men, and no inmate who has been raped may join this number. Men who have sustained head injuries in prison can only join the 27s if they take back their blood by stabbing a warder.
7 is a gang basically known as Ngelegatyane or Skiligityane. Ngelegatyane, like Nongoloza, was a prisoner who shared the same beliefs but resorted to extreme violence in order to demonstrate his so-called struggle. There are not many members of this gang left in prisons within South Africa. Middle Drift Maximum Prison, which accommodates over 2,000 prisoners, only has 1 member of the 27 gang.
Rules of the numbers. The 27s known as the Men of Blood, and the most violent of the numbers. The 27s are the most secretive members of the secretive subculture of the prison gangs. The 27s monitor and enforce the laws and codes of the numbers, and may negotiate and mediate between the 26s and the 28s. Like the 26s, they refuse same-sex relationships. 28s who do not practice homosexuality can therefore become 27s, although only after taking a lot of blood, perpetrating a number of violent crimes. The 28s are known to have sex with other men, and may be raped in the gang. They prefer working in prison kitchens. Members of this gang are further divided into a gold line, the men who take blood, a silver line, and a 3rd division.
It is said that Nongoloza was a Mpondo boy who was arrested more than 11 times for the same crime. Whenever he was in prison, he made sure that he resisted all the rules that were imposed on the prisoners by the prison authorities. The sign 8 was his oath to prove that he is ready to die for what he believes in. That is why today the 28s are also known as Nongoloza.
The Sabella. The numbers have a system of secret codes, language and symbols, including tattoos, colors, and flags, which are collectively known as the Sabella. Each gang teaches its new recruits its own history, values, traditions, and policies, and members who transgress them are usually severely punished.
The law of the 28th does not tolerate the spilling of a brother's blood. He would then be strangled to death by the use of a towel. His raw liver will then be eaten by the 28 gang members as part of their cleansing ritual.
Salutes. 26s raise thumb, 27s raise thumb and forefinger, 28s raise thumb, and first 2 fingers, flags and symbols. The numbers gangs prescribe the symbols that must appear on their flags, but not where they have to appear on the flag. This means that a gang's flag might look slightly different at different places, and at different times. 26's white background, symbolizing being able to steal with a clear conscience. $2, the symbol of money. When the gang is preparing for war, the flag will also contain a thin red, usually horizontal line. 27's red background, symbolizing blood. 2 swords, crossed, facing upwards, and a bugle, readiness to fight. 7 stars, the 7 original members of the gang. 28's green background with a lion's head and kudu horn, and within red, white, and, occasionally, black lines. Green for the silver members, the 2s, red for the gold line members, white for the private members, those who never fight, and who do women work in the prisons. The black line is never mentioned as it represents members who have fallen or died. Tattoos, the numbers are known for their extensive tattoos. Some of these may include 26's favorite tattoos on the right-hand side of the body, indicating that the wearer stays away from same-sex practices. Tattoos may include the $sign, sometimes pierced by the blade of a knife, fists holding wads of cash, or open books carrying the number 26, all symbolizing economic crimes. 27's may wear tattoos that show the gang symbol, crossed swords and a rising sun, and or a depiction of some sort of weapon. This shows that the wearer is violent in nature. 28's may wear a tattoo of the sun setting between the buttocks. Members of the silver line may wear a tattoo with the words Molivabor. If the member belongs to the gold line, his tattoos may refer to blood or death, or he may wear the words, "My heart beats 3 times per year." Silver line members' tattoos may read, "My heart beats 2 times per year."
Ndimo kuphilima imela sentshonalanga zigcina ndimo yonke into yasentshonalanga igcina ndimo so zazinto zigcina ndimo umuntu kodwa azahlake imali zakuphuma phaa kum ndiyikhupha ngexesha elifanelekileyo andiyikhuphi nanjani na xa ndiyikhuphi iyokwenza loo nto uba iyobulala wena izazobulala wena qha ayijiki laa nto
ndiyikapteni 1128 imisebenzi yam abantwana 1128 mna ndim ovumayo into uba mayenzeke okanye ingenzeki mandingaxobanga ngesitambu sam akho nto izakwenzeka like mhlawumbi kuzofuneka kuhlatywe ipolisi okanye kulimele loo mntu funeke limele so mna mandingakanga ndiyigxobele loo nto leyo ndiyivuma izokwenzeka
yam imvuko ithi andigilane imikhuba nezipoko nezithunzela ize ndigilane imikhuba nezipoko nezithunzela ndiyikhiphela kwizolo abafileyo ndithetha ukuthi ke abantu abagezayo nabantu abangamameliyo ndibathathele intloko.
In the prison, I go to the 28th. They told me, okay, I give you a number and you must kill a guy in the cell. And they give me a knife. And the other guy came and they strangled him. And I took the knife and stabbed him in his heart. And 2 times the blood come out.
Yeah. And you did that because you were ordered to, yeah?
Yes.
Because you were 28, yeah?
28 years.
So the warder's frightened of you?
If there is a warder, it's not right here in prison. I told the 27, you what the 27 is, there's a knife for you. You must kill the warder or the major or the captain. And the 27, they told me, salute my brother and go. You can watch. And then I go to the cell there.
Yeah, and you watch?
And then watch.
So what would happen if the 27s didn't follow your orders?
I killed them.
For more content like this, please like and subscribe to our channel in South Africa. Thanks for watching this video.